Monday morning, week 7, status update. Yep, again, there's not a lot there to see. Main thing that's done over the last week was the big wardrobe cupboard. But of course this has been pulled out again, ready to be painted and everything, so there's about probably 5-6 days worth of work in that. The biggest hassles were all these weird cuts here, so there's barely a straight edge on this thing. A couple of things to get done this week. One will be putting the overhead cupboards in, or at least making the overhead cupboards. That's going to probably take most of the week. The other thing I need to do as well is the sliding mechanism for the lounge/bed. So the seat base on this part here will slide all the way across to fill out this. It's a big distance for it to span, so there's a bit of mucking about that's going to be going on there. Got the aluminium rail in last night. That was, gee, massive task. Took like 5 minutes anyway. Actually probably more like an hour. And in true DIY tragic fashion, I DIY'd my haircut this morning. Do you like it? Let's start the cuts now for the overhead cupboards. I've got the makings of the first of the overhead cupboards underway. Trying to rush through this to get things done at a reasonable time frame, and just completely forget to set up the camera and take some footage. But hey, no one wants to see me putting nails in, at least I assume no one does. If you do, let me know in the comments. Instead you can watch me draw lines on bits of wood. If we've done anything right, there should be exactly 650mm between these 2 points. Tuesday morning, got that thrown together last night. That's 3 of the 4 overhead cupboards. Next step is trying to work out how I'm going to fit it inside the van. Got the aluminium rail there, which takes up part of the mounting points, but I need to put another rail across the top here. The 4th part of that is going to be a little bit tricky, so that mark right about there, if you can see that, that's where the triple cupboard comes to, and then there's a single one that goes on the end there. Got a few complications. We got curving in there, curving down there. Alright, got the 2 rails in now. Put some cap screws through into the existing bolt holes in the top there. This was not straight. I'll tell you what, put this bar in here and the last one was quite a few millimetres out, but anyway, I think if you look along there you can probably see a little bit of a wobble in it where it sort of forced itself into the holes, but I can work with that, it's not too bad. Now here's a cardboard representation of my overhead cupboard. That's gonna sort of try and fit there, but it sort of comes down to there. We're gonna have a bit of a gap there, but there looks like it's sort of stopping it from going straight. So now I've got to work out whether I space things out there by about 10mm or I cut off the top of the cupboard, which I've already made. So I think I'm going to bite the bullet and cut the back corner off this cupboard here. A good indication of the strength of the joint. Wednesday morning. I must say I'm pretty happy at how that looks. Lexi spent a couple of hours staining and sealing that, putting top coats on, whatever else. Fridge, microwave, wardrobe space, and that's pretty close to being ready to go back in. We're just going to give it another coat down the side here. Big cutout here is for the table, which is going to happen at a later stage because that's a little bit fiddly, so once I get the time I'll get around to putting that in. On the inside of the van, so we've got our wall cupboard sitting on the floor, and my new little wall cupboard jacking stand that I made up for my last van quite a few years ago. We did a bit of a trial fitment on this last night, and it's all looking pretty good. Had to run off to the shops to get a few more bolts and things. Needed some longer ones to secure it all in, so hopefully today that will end up attached to the wall. Lots and lots of bolts here, way more than I need for the actual strength of the joint, but given that we're bolting wood into a structure, wood's not very strong, so spreading the load out again over 40 bolts or something, I don't know how many here, 12, 24, no, it's not that many. Working under cover of darkness. Anyway, first trial fitment, so all the bolts line up. It was not easy, but they line up. I'm going to take that out now, finish off some of the trim and paint it and all that sort of business. Thursday morning and beautiful clear skies. Bit of cardboard aided design. I reckon I can probably turn that into a piece of wood now. More work required. That's pretty good. Just got a delivery, some little tiny LED lights. These are my night lights. So these will be mounted down in the kick panels underneath the kitchen bench and everything. So at night you can wander out to the toilet and actually see where you're going, not trip over and kill yourself. So this is where we're at with this end cupboard fiasco. I've trimmed down this edge now, and now it fits in, as you saw. And now I've got to cut along this line here. You can see the angle error, which is basically how far out the side of the van is in that section. Righto, Friday morning. Where are we at? So it's something that vaguely looks like overhead cupboards. Not 100% happy with the way it's turned out. There's a few little imperfections and things, but it is what it is, and that's that. I also went a bit overboard with the bolts. You might see I've got about 15,000 bolts across there. That was a calculational issue. I tapped the wrong number into my calculator when I was dividing up the spacing of the bolts, and didn't actually bother to check and just went out, marked it and drilled it. This bit of the end cupboard here has been a bit of a gut ache again, like most things, because it's sort of cut around bits and pieces inside the framework there. The top was a bit fiddly, then had to line it up with this bulkhead here as well, so cut that little bit of wood to stick in there. There'll be a lot more built onto this over the coming days. I hope to have a roller blind in there, sort of contained within this space, which then drops down to close off the front of the van. Anyway, that's where I'm at. So I've got to pull this cupboard out now and do a few finish off bits and pieces, and then we're almost ready to pull this all out and then start staining that part now. Well, that's the two overhead cupboards done, so that one's ready to be stained, and this one's just got a few little trims and things to finish off, and then they'll be ready as well. So I'll double up on the plywood here where the hinges mount, similar thing here as well, and then we're good to stain. Getting close to having the cabinetry finished. That's a nice feeling. Just going to make up a bit of a brace to go across the roof. It'll help support the weight of the fan, which I noticed on a few bumpy roads was bouncing up and down, so I'll put a metal brace across the top there. It'll also help to hold my roof panels when I put them on too, so I've got something down the middle as a batten, basically. Well, Saturday lunchtime, I've got my little struts that I'm putting along the roof of the van on the inside to help stop some of the movement in there. They're all done, welded and really roughly painted. Very poor coat of paint, but hey, they'll be completely covered up later anyway. And Lexi's been busy staining the wall cabinets, so they're got their first coat on them. Not staining, sealing. Staining was done yesterday. It's got little tabs on the outside of this, which will push rubber pads up against the roof. Alright, well that's Saturday pretty much done. The whole afternoon was spent just putting some insulation in the roof there. Kind of all had to be tied in with these two steel rails we put down. Had to pull the overhead covered aluminium rail out and put the insulation above that. So this thing hasn't moved for about 3 weeks, so I'm going to take it for a drive. I've just hooked up the battery and the charger and everything, so it's going to charge off the car now. So I'll go and fire it up and see if we get smoke. Red light there. I'm not sure what that means. Hopefully it's a good red light. Right. I don't know if you can see that, but it says it's putting in 50 amps, so I reckon it seems to be working. 11:30 on Sunday. Late start. Had someone come to look at my ute that I've got for sale, so I had to give that a quick wash and everything. Well, not a quick wash, took me ages, probably about an hour, and so that's sort of consumed a bit of my morning. As for this thing, I realised last night that I forgot to put some of the pass-throughs in the roof for the solar panels and whatever else. So just going to have to notch out a couple of holes in the insulation there, and I'll find some space to poke the wires through. This is a good opportunity. Now I've had to cut a hole here to drill some holes in the roof. Always install foil board with an air gap. Most of the insulation properties are done by the reflective layer on the top there, so thin layer of polystyrene by itself actually doesn't insulate all that well, but combine that with the reflective part on top and you've got quite a good insulation system. You can also see I've put spray foam around the edges, not so much to improve the insulation properties, because let's face it, we've got big metal sections here that actually don't have insulation in them, although I may stuff those with polyester bats. But this is more to hold them in place and also to stop the squeaking. You'll note here, any movement causes squeaking. Later on I'll squirt a bit of silicone through there, the gap's too small for the expanding foam. So I forgot to show me installing the cable pass-throughs on the roof due to the fact that it was pouring with rain. 2 for solar panels, 1 for antennas and lights and whatever else. So starting on the sliding section of the bed lounge arrangement, so this is going to have the base on a slide and the other side on a couple of rollers, or 3 rollers. So I'm just sort of doing a piece of aluminium now and putting the rollers into it. I'm going to attach them with riv nuts. I'm not totally sure if attaching them with riv nuts is going to be a good idea, because while riv nuts are great, they're not the most precise of things on earth. I'll give it a quick go and see how it looks. I've got my trusty little rollers there, they'll bolt onto this piece here. This one here I've already sort of, shall I say, dodged up, but basically I've got 2 sets of drawer slides bolted to each other. So basically what we've got is that little rail in there, and this should, in theory, drop onto that, and okay, first problem. There is a bit of an offset on the rail in there, the little track, so I need to space these out a little bit further from the bar here. Yeah, sun's going down, so it's getting hard to see. Alright, you can see we've got a bit of an offset there on the little wheels, so in theory, sitting nice and square in there, and that's basically how my bed's going to move. Working under cover of darkness again. I've just been installing the cupboard that's just been painted. So this is the wardrobe and fridge cupboard. Can't see it too well right now because it's dark. Anyway, so I think we're going to start to see things come together a little bit quicker now. Tomorrow we're going to put in the wall cupboards as well. They're sitting in the garage now, all been painted and everything, so ready to go in. Keep an eye out for probably the week 8 video, I think it will be. So we'll have a few more interesting shots there and start to see this thing actually looking like something. It's going to be quite satisfying to see something for all this work. Anyway, that's the end of Sunday. Had enough. Going to bed and kick off again on Monday. See ya.